Hey there everyone, Captain BEARDZ here, bringing you another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Black Ops Call of Duty video. Now, by far, without a doubt, this is the most annoying challenge in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Black Ops Zombies. The elite eliminations. Now, you can make it quite easy, but it's quite a little bit of a nuisance, and there is some bugs and stuff like that, and we're going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on the modes, the best modes to do to grind out this camo as quickly as possible, and I'm going to touch on the subject of some of the bugs, and I'm going to touch on the subject of best way to pretty much kill the bosses. So, yeah, let's get it. Alright, so starting off with the modes first. Alright, let me back out of here first real quick. Okay, so you got a couple different choices here. You got the normal endless, you got the 20 rounds, and then you got the private side, which is with the team here, are solos. Now let's go ahead and talk about the public modes first. So the normal endless mode. So the normal endless mode is pretty much just the 20 rounds, is just past 20 rounds, right? So the thing about this mode is it's really good but really bad. It's really good because you can get things done quite quickly and you're going to get a lot of zombies to spawn. And pretty much as soon as you turn that pack-a-punch on, which is usually during the earlier rounds, that's when you're going to start getting bosses. Now, when you're with 4 players, you don't get one boss. You get like 2, 3, and then in the higher rounds, you'll get like 4 bosses. And that's super nice. And with that, pretty much the way it works, guys, most of the time, because sometimes it could be bugged out, and this is where the bug happens. If you shoot the boss, the main form of the boss, and then when they split up, if you shoot both sides when they split up, and then somebody else kills them, you get credit for that. Now, there is a bug where you won't get credit, and that's kind of annoying, so I highly recommend that what you're doing is while your teammates are shooting the boss, you're actively shooting the boss at the same time too. Because I found out that as you're shooting the boss at the same time as your teammates, it doesn't matter who gets the kills, but while you guys are actively shooting it, you'll both get the credit. But if you shoot it a little bit and then go do something else, that's when you miss out on the credit. So it's a little bug, it's a little of a nuisance, and sometimes it counts, sometimes it don't. But the best thing to do is, unfortunately, you kind of got to be a little bit of an a-hole and just try to get the boss kills. Just simply try to get the boss kills, especially if you're playing with randos. If you're playing with randos, most likely they're trying to do the same thing. So you just got to beat them to the punch. So endless, not too bad. Now 20 rounds is pretty good too for that in and out play. And it really, the thing I like about the 20 rounds is it forces people to move, right? Because when it comes to endless, you might have people just stay in spawn and not want to open anything or do anything just because it's endless. Whereas in 20 rounds, that's when they know, like, hey guys, it's round 7. We got to get out of here. We got to start doing things because we only have 20 rounds. And the good thing about this mode is that you consistently get bosses, right? So as soon as you turn that pack punch on, it's like every wave is a boss. And I think it's especially in the higher rounds. I don't know, as soon as you turn the pack punch on, it's a dog round, and then like the wave after is boss, but I think it's 2 bosses. And then the wave after is no boss, and the wave after is boss, so it's like alternating. And then I think at the very final and last rounds, that's when you're getting a boss every round. So that's when it's really good, and that's when you can pretty much take advantage and you're hoping the game doesn't bug out and gives you your counts. Now again, like I said, I recommend going straight after those bosses. Now a little bit of a problem with this mode though is you are with 3 other players. Now when you're with 4 players, people think, oh, I'm with 4 players, so we're gonna be strong. We're gonna kill it. Not everybody knows how to play. Not everybody knows how to train. And when you're trying to deal with trying to kill a boss while dealing with hundreds and hundreds of zombies at the same time, and then you got Billy over here trying to take your kills or sprinting around like, hey, yeah, guys, I'm gonna do everything. I can do everything. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that can really mess up your train, and then you're gonna die. So that's where this mode is a little bit trippy, and that's where it's super good because you're getting a lot of zombies, you're getting a lot of bosses, but the randomness of strangers can really kill you. So I highly recommend you do this mode. Just try to communicate with people, type in chat, do something. Just say, hey, I need boss kills. Can you guys help me with that? And hopefully you get nice people. So, and then next on the list is private. Now, private section is probably the best section for boss kills. I'm just gonna straight up say it. Right now, I don't recommend solo, but I'll tell you why right now. I did a test, right, where I went to about rounds 66, 67. The game works in a very weird way. And I don't know if it's because at the higher rounds, the rounds start moving slower, but by rounds, by round 5, 6, you turn Pack-a-Punch on. 7, you get dogs. 8, you get a boss. And then you don't get another boss till like 11 or something like that. And then it just kind of spread out from there. And it feels weird because as I got later and later in the solo rounds, by rounds 25 to 30, by like rounds 30, I didn't get bosses till like every 5, 6 rounds. And I thought maybe it was my game was bugged out or something like that. I thought maybe I just need to push through. And I started getting bosses, 2 bosses, by like round like 37, 38, 40 is when I started seeing 2 bosses at a time, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. To get to rounds 40 and only see 2 bosses, that's kind of annoying. And then by rounds, by that time, it was still about a gap of 5, 6 rounds before I even seen bosses. And then as soon as I got to round 55 to 67, I wasn't getting 2 bosses anymore. I was getting 1 boss. So during the boss rounds, I was only getting 1 boss, 1 elite. And I thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. And right now, I honestly, in my opinion, I think solo zombies is broken when it comes to the elites, the bosses. I feel like they're just not spawning at a good, consistent rate. And in the higher rounds, it's even worse. I mean, I went from round 60 to 67, only killing 1 boss. And like I said, maybe it was that match, but I did end up going again to see if it was the same thing happened, which I thought was absolutely atrocious. So if you are trying to grind the complete 15 elims, elite elims, I can honestly say do not grind a complete match of solo to do it. Instead, if you want to do solos, I'd highly recommend get to rounds 5, 6, turn Pack-a-Punch on. Round 7, you get dog round. Round 8, you get boss round. Destroy the boss, reset the game. So that means start over. Press start, quit match, start over, do it again. Get to round 8 again. And you can pretty much consistently do that within a 10-minute window. If you're super fast, you can get it done under 10 minutes. Now, I don't think that's ideal, and I think you're better off doing public because you're going to get a lot more bosses at a lot more consistent rate. But yeah, so that's pretty much my recommendation for solo. Now, obviously, you could combo this with doing other camo challenges, which kind of help doing the boss challenges and stuff like that. But I found myself pretty much getting all the challenges done and only having elite challenges left. And yeah, solo is just not the way to go for that challenge. And then lastly is going to be the normal private mode. Now, there really is no difference between this one if you're doing a solo. So if you think, okay, so I'll just queue this one in solo and I'll be fine. No, it's no. It's still going to read you as a solo player, so do understand that. Now, with the private mode, I did another thing of research, and I had my wife, Poison Kiss, join me on the map. So it was both of us doing the machine. And best method ever for getting boss kills, hands down, especially during the earlier rounds. I noticed by rounds 5, 6, we got Pack-a-Punch on. 7 dogs. 8, we got 1 boss. Then it's like 9, 10, you don't get a boss, and then 11, instead of a single boss, you end up getting 2 bosses. And then from there on out, it's a very consistent boss pattern, like every 2, 3 rounds, sometimes 4, you get 2 bosses. And as long as you're communicating with your teammate and you're letting them know, like I was letting my wife Poison know, like, hey, let me pretty much eliminate the bosses. You try to kill them at the same time. She was getting credit for the boss kills. I was getting credit for the boss kills, so everything was working out. except for the launchers. The launcher boss kill tag teaming thing just doesn't work for some reason. So you have to get final kills with the launchers, at least in private. And so my research has took me to one thing. The best mode for grinding out the bosses, and it's kind of unfortunate, is going to be the private mode with a buddy. That's the best mode, hands down. You can grind it at a consistent rate. You know the person, so you know they're not going to take your kills. You're going to get a lot more zombies to help you with the other camo challenges, and you're going to get 2 bosses at a time, which I think is absolutely clutch. Now, it's pretty cool is because by around 30-ish, you start getting 3 bosses, and I think that's absolutely amazing. So, and yeah, so by around about 35, I've already completed probably like 2 guns. 2 or 3 guns for the elite eliminations, usually around 2, 3 if I'm very lucky. So 2 guns for the elite eliminations, which is fantastic. Now, past rounds 30, I did notice, again, same thing happened with the solos. At around 30 is when it started to slow down, like from 30 to like 40. That's when I noticed I was going 4 or 5 rounds without bosses, and it was kind of annoying. But again, even though I got the bosses, I was still getting like 3 bosses, which is pretty nice. Round 40, again, still with the same slowdown, but then I started seeing 3, 4 bosses. But randomness too, because then I started only seeing 2 bosses at some times. I had rounds like round 42, I only had 2 bosses, which I don't know how that makes any sense. You would think higher would be more, but that's not the case. So currently, guys, I do think the best method for grinding out the bosses is going to be private mode with a buddy, and only go up to around 30. Go up to around 30 and then reset yourself, because after round 30 it starts getting a little bit tedious. So that is my highest recommendation. If you have to do it solo, if you absolutely do not want to play with people and you don't have a buddy to team up with and you have to do it solo, if you can truck all the way to round 20, that would be the best bet. Rounds 20 and then reset. Unless you're absolutely melting waves, then just keep going to around 30 and then reset. But again, solo is on the lowest of the list. So for me, number 1 would be Die Machine with a buddy, private. Number 1. Number 2 would be Die Machine 20 round. And number 3 would be Die Machine solo. So those are my 3 recommendations for that. And with the boss kills, guys, finally, I am going to say my last piece here is headshots. Headshots, 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 and more headshots. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get headshots on the boss. It's very hard to get headshots when they split, because their skulls are literally just 2 like little pieces. But if you can, throw a stun grenade, throw a decoy, throw a monkey, throw something to distract them, to keep them in place, and get your headshots. You're going to do massive amounts of damage, and depending on the weapon you're using, you can absolutely melt. So a gun like the Tundra, my beautiful baby right here, if you were to, say, throw a stun to stun the boss, or throw a decoy to keep them in place, activate Ring of Fire, and then have a maxed out Tundra, yeah, you're probably going to one-shot the boss at earlier rounds, or even two-shot them at the later rounds. And that's insane with those headshots. Now, you're probably like, but BEARDZ, I can't get headshots with the launchers. I did say this in my launcher video, is with the launchers, when it comes to bosses, your Ring of Fire is your best friend, just because for some reason when you use the launchers on a boss just normally, they like take no damage. But as soon as you put yourself in the Ring of Fire, that's when the launchers get massive steel balls and they absolutely melt bosses. So again, Ring of Fire, but with the launchers it doesn't matter because you can't really get headshots. So you have to just aim at the legs and you're good to go. Everything else, headshots, headshots, and more headshots. But anyways, guys, I hope that helped you with the challenge here, which is the Elite Eliminations. I don't know why I'm on the BEARDZ Trash Cow. This gun is, oh my goodness, please buff this gun. It looks so nice, but it's just so bad. But anyways, So that's pretty much it on the elite eliminations. Hopefully that helps you guys out. But that's pretty much all I got for you. This is probably the toughest challenge to get done, in my opinion, of course. But I will be doing like this kind of video for all the other challenges. So make sure you look forward to that. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay positive. Peace out.